I welcome our second speaker. We have the second speaker, Dr. Vishwarup Mukherjee. Professor Mukherjee is a DSc professor in the University Department of Zoology. He has been taking the postdoctoral training in the marine biology from University of Southern California. Professor Mukherjee has been teaching zoology and environmental sciences for the last 39-40 years. He has published 5 books in environmental sciences and have published more than about 30 papers in national and international journals. He has also worked on the modeling of both marine and environment and freshwater fishes of Ranchi for the past 30 years. I request Professor Mukherjee to kindly come up with his viewpoint on today's COVID-19 environmental and health issues and grace us with his sharing, sir. You're welcome, Professor Mukherjee, sir.
Respected Vice Chancellor, sir, Dr. Ramesh Pandey, our Pro Vice Chancellor, Dr. Kamini Kumar, Principal of SS Memorial College, Dr. Shamshun Nehar, and all the members of this of the organizer committee. Today, the world over are busy with developing ways and means to counteract the impact of COVID-19. I will briefly discuss the impact of COVID-19, especially on environmental and health issues. The popular notion that the COVID-19 pandemic has been good for the environment, that nature is recovering while humanity stays at home, appeals to many people grasping for some respite from the global tragedy. However, reality may not cooperate with such hopes. It's a worldwide disaster that we are facing today. The worldwide disruption caused by the COVID pandemic has resulted in diverse impacts on the environment, climate, and health. The Earth originated about 4.5 billion years ago. We start with the paleo environment, termed as the Hadean period, when there were hellish conditions and the surface temperature was around 1800 K. The sun's luminosity was about 5% of the present. 4.5 billion years before present, when the Earth evolved, the sun's luminosity was lower by 25 to 35% than it is today. Such dimming translates into a decrease of the Earth's effective temperature by 8%, long enough to keep the seawater frozen for 2 billion years. But this did not happen. Carbon dioxide seems to have exerted a thermostatic control on our climate. Negative feedback mechanisms for this gas can be identified both in biotic and abiotic processes. Models that include not only the carbon dioxide linked greenhouse effect, but also the consequent changes in cloud albedo and water vapor trapping suggests that the concentration of carbon dioxide must have been 10 to the power 3 times the present atmospheric level, around 4 billion years before present. So this is a picture of the Hadean period. Next came the Archean. The Archean comes from the ancient Greek meaning beginning or origin. Before the Hadean eon was recognized, the Archean spanned Earth's early history from 3,900 million years to about 2,500 million years. Considerable CO2 was present. However, slowly the Earth started cooling. Okay, the initial temperature was around 227 degrees centigrade, but by the end of the Archean, the temperature had reached about 21 degrees centigrade. Considering the paleo environment, our planet seems to have three main settings: the greenhouse, the ice house, and the snowball. Now you will think why I am discussing about these geological ages. Now there has been a large number of disasters, geological disasters, based on, say, extremes of temperature from, say, 1800 degree K to 0 degree centigrade. Okay, this is the snowball Earth. Now, life arose somewhere around 3.5 billion years in the form of bacteria or virus. It's still a conjecture, which are chemolithotrophic forms such as sulfur bacteria, nitrogen bacteria, iron bacteria, living near hydrothermal vents, emitting sulfur, ammonia, methane, and other gases which the bacteria could use. The earliest fossils appear to be around 3.5 billion years. These fossils are of large colonies of bacteria called cyanobacteria. These may have been the first living things to get energy from sunlight. What is so amazing about cyanobacteria is that they are still common on Earth today and can be seen in places such as Tasmania in the form of stromatolites. One of the problems with primitive life was the presence of UV radiations in large amounts. Thus, these primitive photosynthesizing organisms must have lived in the safety of stagnant pools and lakes below 10 meters. Now, stromatolites are layered mounds, columns, and sheet-like sedimentary rocks that were originally formed by the growth of layer upon layer of cyanobacteria. A single-celled photosynthetic microbe. Now, these fossilized stromatolites, some of which may date from 3.7 billion years ago, provide records of ancient life on Earth. These photosynthesizing bacteria started the evolution of oxygen. Oxygen generated through photolysis of water by increasing population of photoautotrophs built up and began to escape in the atmosphere. Now, once this sufficient amounts of oxygen was present in the atmosphere, the UV rays broke it down into monoatomic oxygen. Monoatomic oxygen then reacted with diatomic oxygen to form ozone. Now, once ozone was formed, organisms could move out from their shelter to the land, to other parts of the Earth. Now, geological evidence indicates that there have been different periods of different climatic regimes, particularly cold stages and warm stages. The last glaciation was the Pleistocene glaciation about 11,700 years ago. Okay, when the average global temperature was -5 degrees centigrade. However, in the last, say, 2 million years, there have been 17 such cycles, which lasted for 1 to 1.5 million years. Each cycle having about 120,000 years of cold period, and the warm part of the cycle occupying between 10 to 20,000 years. Presently, we are nearing the cold period that is evidenced by the rise in the sea level. So, with an increase in the concentration of dioxygen in the Earth's atmosphere, the ultraviolet component of the sun's radiation dissociated the gas into highly reactive atomic oxygen by photochemical reactions, and subsequently ozone started to develop. So the cyanobacteria, they have a prime role in the formation of the ozone layer. Now, man as a species, whose earliest fossil records are only 70,000 years old, has done pretty well for himself. His capacity of thinking has enabled him to maintain a tremendous overpopulation at the expense of the natural resource. Every man, early man was a hunter and gatherer, but with his superior intelligence, he has drastically changed both the environment and diversity and biodiversity. From a low energy dependent organism, he has turned into a high energy based fuel powered urban industrial society. This explosive growth of human population has been accompanied by rising expectation and increases in the standards of living. They require more food, more houses, more transport, more energy, and more of everything. This growing need has resulted in an exhaustive utilization of natural resources. More forests cleared for agriculture, industries, roads, and other requirements. More water is required as potable water for irrigation and for the generation of electricity. More fuel and mineral for transportation, industries, and other uses. The rapid growth of the population and his increased needs for every resource has polluted the soil, water, and atmosphere, destroyed forests, destroyed forests for forest produce agriculture, housing units, industrial units, and others, and modified the biochemical cycles. He has eaten away a diverse group of organisms and are still growing at an alarming rate. The current world population is about 7.8 billion, and it's a Herculean task to provide his everyday needs for resources. Thus, with the increase in population, we have increased poverty, starvation, unemployment, and we have reached a point of no return. At present, human beings are playing a dangerous game, modifying the very basics of life, the genes, and COVID-19 is a result of such modification, creating biohazard that we are unable to control. With the introduction of lockdown throughout the world, an abrupt halt on the various anthropogenic activities from agriculture to cottage industries and from diverse industries to automobiles. Considering on a global basis, the emissions had decreased considerably. Simultaneously, the decrease in human activities, interference with environment such as soil, water bodies, and forests declined abruptly. Taken on a global basis, this had stopped all emissions and effluents. Simultaneously, with the decrease in human activities, interference with the environment, such as use of natural water bodies, forests, soil in place, stopped abruptly. Lockdown and other measures resulted in 25 to 40% reduction in carbon emissions, 14 to 25% reduction in NOx emissions, particulate matter had decreased by 50%, the air quality had improved by 60%, and the ozone layer recovered. The COVID lockdown was healing the planet in a way never seen before since the Industrial Revolution started in the 1800s. It has made us realize that our actions and way of living can very well impact the Earth's sustainability. We can have pure air for breathing, greener trees, pure and safe natural waters, and the return of wildlife as before. The temperatures did not soar to unbearable limits, and the rivers and streams did not dry up. Flamingos came in great numbers during the summer quarters, and so did the dolphins and the diverse group of local birds. The beaches were cleared and gave respite to crabs and turtles. Water sports had stopped, and so had the churning of water mixed with exhaust emissions. Sound pollution had also decreased. Researcher states that the virus will hinder the climate change action of corporate and countries despite the short-term drop in emissions. If the global economy crashes, emissions will drop short-term as production goes down, But as the system bounces back, there will be lesser concern for environment and more so for economic recovery. The paradox lies in the fact that although nature has shown us the way to maintain a clean and healthy environment, but we cannot retrace our steps from a high energy lifestyle to a low energy state because we have acclimatized ourselves to that state. Before the coronavirus, the human race had to deal with various epidemics and pandemics across the centuries. Many of them had claimed millions of lives, and as the coronavirus racks up the numbers, we should take a look at the virus's deadly predecessors. The coronavirus COVID-19 has reached 60 countries, but has not yet caused widespread fatalities outside of mainland China. The outbreak has been classified as pandemic as opposed to epidemic. The difference being that an epidemic is the widespread occurrence of a disease in one community at a particular time, whereas a pandemic is when a disease spreads across continents at the same pace. Now, some of the major occurrences that has taken its toll includes the cholera of 1910-1911 that killed 8 lakh people, the cholera of 1852 that killed 1 million people, the Hong Kong flu of 1968 caused by the virus H3N2, which killed about 1 million people, the flu of 1889 caused by the H3N8 subtype virus, which killed 1 million lives, the Asian flu killed about 2 million people. The Antonine plague, it killed about 5 million people. The plague of Justinian in 541-542 killed 25 million people. And the AIDS virus, and it goes on. The Spanish flu killed 50 million people. The Black Death killed about 200 million people. Now, apart from these diseases, there has been other deaths too. For instance, the total deaths from World War I and II is estimated at 17 million. Malaria has taken 1 million lives. So natural disasters have been a part of the geological and human history. Globally, as of 19 June, there has been roughly about 8 million confirmed cases of COVID-19, including 450,000 deaths, with China as the epicenter of infection. Considering the demographics and previous pandemics, the current deaths are relatively low. However, precautions are a must before vaccines or medicines can take over. The crux of the problem is that it is a created and modified virus provided with the property to mutate rapidly. The figure shows basically the confirmed cases in different parts of the world, such as USA, Europe, Eastern Mediterranean, Southeast Asia, Western Pacific, and Africa. Coronaviruses are enveloped positive sense single stranded RNA viruses that belong to the subfamily Coronavirinae and family Coronaviridae, order Nidovirales. 4 genera of coughs, namely alpha coronavirus, beta coronavirus, delta coronavirus, and gamma coronavirus are distinguished. This group of viruses is of zoonotic origin, with alpha cough and beta cough found in bats and rodents, while delta cough and gamma cough are found in avian species. Now, SARS-CoV-2 virus is a beta coronavirus which was discovered in Wuhan city, Hubei province, China in December 2019. Basically, they have, say, 4 specific proteins: the S, the M, the E protein. The M protein is the most abundant, mostly responsible for the shape of the envelope. The E protein is the smallest structural protein. The S and M proteins are also the transmembrane proteins that are involved in virus assembly during replication. N proteins remain associated with the RNA, forming a nucleocapsid inside the envelope. In coughs, the genomic structure is organized in a 5-SS plus ssRNA of approximately 30 kilobytes in length and is the largest known RNA viruses with a 5' structure and the 3' poly A tail. Of note, the transcription termination occurs at transcription regulatory sequences located between the so-called open leading frames or ORFs that work as template for the production of subgenomic RNAs. So this is basically the structure of the coronavirus with the spike, the nucleocapsid, the membrane, envelope, and the RNA viral genome. Now, where to find the antibodies? Basically, what we have to do is we have to develop, boost up our immune system. But then this immunity, so to say, is relative, so to say, and it differs from person to person. Now, everything in this world originated here, so that the answer to our question lies in our biodiversity. Surprisingly enough, our search took us to the llamas and camels. Researchers at the University of Texas at Austin linked 2 copies of a special kind of antibody produced by llamas to create a new antibody that binds to a key protein on SARS-CoV-2, the virus that causes the coronavirus disease. Initial test results to be published indicate that this antibody blocks viruses that display the spike protein, including SARS-CoV-2, from entering and infecting cells. Camels and llamas have a unique antibody structure that lacks the light chain that is conventionally present in other species, including human. Conventional antibodies have both the heavy and light chains and resemble a Y-shaped molecule. Despite lacking the light chain, camelid antibodies retain the neutralizing ability of the large antibodies with a single domain called the VHH or nanobodies. Due to this small size, the camelid or llama antibodies have a unique advantage, for instance, ease of production, and these are difficult times and we have to change our habits and healthcare systems. The world economy has crashed and unemployment has taken monstrous proportions. In this scenario, it is very difficult to estimate how much deaths will occur due to infection and what percentage will succumb to starvation, poverty, unemployment, and mental breakdown. However, the pandemic has taught us that we have to change our lifestyle, and if we want to save our planet and ourselves, we have to stop, or we have to change our lifestyle and stop manipulating our nature. Thanks, Dr. Shamshun Nehar, for giving me the opportunity, and to the organizers of the program, and to all those whose efforts could make this webinar a success.
Thank you very much, Professor Vishwarup Mukherjee. It was a pleasure listening to you. You spoke about the hidden concept, the formation of Earth around 3.5 million years ago. It is a pleasure to listen the botanists speak up, the zoologists speak up, the environmentalists speak up. We have a good panel, I believe, and the listeners are also enjoying this panel. So Dr. Mukherjee has also spoken regarding the cyanobacteria, the historical review of evolution of oxygen, the early man, the growing need of today's world, and the natural resources as well. Dr. Mukherjee has also given up a picture of the lockdown benefits, I believe, in COVID-19. He told that how the carbon emission has gone down, the air quality has improved, and the oxygen layer has restored. He has also mentioned regarding the industrial hazards. And yes, lastly, he definitely told us how pandemic and epidemic can be divided as such by the nature of the spread. We spoke about corolla, Hong Kong flu, viruses, various viruses because of which the casualty has taken place over the years. And yes, he has also shown us the way for developing our immune system, which is we all talking about today in today's pandemic time. So let us now welcome our third guest. Our third guest today, the speaker we have, Dr. Venkat Appa Rao. He is Associate Professor of Zoology in the Department of Zoology in St. Xavier's College of Ranchi. Dr. Appa Rao had been teaching for a long time, more than 26 years. He is not only an immense personality in the field of zoology, he has not only presented and attended seminars in national and international papers, as well as he has also, I think, become a role model of many zoologists, the students who are studying zoology. We all remember him as a person, a very friendly personality, and a very good orator. Sir, I welcome you in today's webinar, and I want you to please continue with this session and kindly grace us with your own wordings, your viewpoints on today's topic. So over to you, sir.
Welcome to this webinar organized by the SS Memorial College, Ranchi. Respected Professor Ramesh Pandey sir, Vice Chancellor and patron of the webinar. Respected Professor Kamini Kumar, the Pro Vice Chancellor. Respected Dr. Shamshun Nehar Madam, the Principal of SS Memorial College and the Chairperson of the webinar. And the entire organizing team of the webinar. First of all, I wish to pay my thanks to each and every one for inviting me to this webinar and present some of my observations and studies regarding the COVID-19 and beyond, the environmental and the health issues. Earlier speakers, the botanist, the environmentalist, Dr. Bhatnagar and respected Professor Bishrup sir, shown light on the COVID-19 regarding that the immunity or immunological development of the body and how the nature has taken a turn that was explained by the earlier speakers. I wish to emphasize a little bit different what the people are nowadays feeling, that is the psychological and physiological aspect during the COVID-19 and what type of health issues are facing. I am N. Venkat Appa Rao, Associate Professor, Department of Geology, St. Xavier's College, Ranchi. Little I want to introduce about the COVID-19. What is the current scenario? Nowadays, the scientists across the world are inclined to do research more in COVID-19. The causative virus is known as SARS coronavirus 2. And the current coronavirus is referred as a novel coronavirus. Pandemic in nature, infected more than 83,85,440 worldwide. And in India, it is 3,95,812 and killing more than 4,50,686 worldwide. And in India, it is 12,970 human beings. As on today, I'm giving the record or the data of today morning, that is 26/2020. Just 1.5 months back, in April 2020, a study was published in Nature by Roman Wolfell and his associates, and they reported that the patients shed virus efficiently in the first week of illness when their symptoms are mild, and this probably gives an advantage to the virus to spread more. And the spread is chiefly through the air droplets. Here I have shown the picture of the transmission electron microscope image, that the crown shape of SARS coronavirus 2. Sir also earlier said, Bishrup Mukherjee sir, the genome of SARS coronavirus 2 is an RNA, and comprises 29,811 nucleotide sequence and coding for 29 proteins. The coronavirus is so named due to their crown of protein spikes present on the surface. These spikes are called S proteins, binds to the receptor called angiotensin converting enzyme 2 receptors, that is ACE2, to hack its way into the host cell. These 29 proteins, out of these 29 proteins, 4 make up the actual structure of the virus, including the S protein, and remaining are non-structural and accessory proteins. Out of all these, the S protein is most important for infection. Why I'll tell in the next slide. This is the picture shows the SARS coronavirus and showing the not only S protein, the membrane protein, nucleocapsid proteins, and the viral RNA. Here, the S protein is shown in brown color. These having the interaction with ACE2 present attached with the surface of human cell. This interaction, in fact, is providing the opportunity to enter the coronavirus 2 into the human cell. During the S protein, which can be differentiated into apical S1 and basal S2. The S1 is in fact binding with the ACE2, and then it facilitates the phagocytosis of this virus, which is causing the infection. Now, if we consider the angiotensin converting enzyme 2, some students or people might have heard about the angiotensin converting enzyme, and this is another, we are now telling that angiotensin converting enzyme 2. The angiotensin converting enzyme is present in many tissues or body, but predominantly it is located mostly in lung tissues, kidney tissues, heart tissues, intestinal cells, and it is responsible for the conversion of inactive angiotensin 1 to active angiotensin 2. This results to variety of functions including vasoconstriction, retention of sodium by secreting aldosterone from adrenal cortex, etc. The persons who are suffering from high blood pressure are normally treated with either captopril or enalapril or similar drugs, or in fact ACE inhibitors. Now coming to angiotensin converting enzyme 2, it is recently described the homologue of angiotensin converting enzyme, and it is a pivotal enzyme in the counter regulation of the response. Means the ACE and ACE2 are countering each other. Thereby the balance of the blood pressure, other heart functions are regulated in our body. However, here we can see that the ACE2, it is not inhibited by captopril or any other classical ACE inhibitors. More, I wish to say here that the ACE2 is recently described as homologue of ACE. And we know that the blood pressure always causes due to the increased ACE, and ACE inhibitors are always responsible for lowering down of blood pressure. And now people generally use captopril or enalapril or other classical ACE inhibitors during BP, high BP. But here, more surprisingly, the high BP medicines never inhibit ACE2, although it having 40% similarity with angiotensin converting enzyme. ACE2 is purified from human heart, and it is found that it is responsible for the hydrolysis of angiotensin 2. Once more, the angiotensin converting enzyme is promoting the formation of angiotensin 2, but the ACE2 is hydrolyzing angiotensin 2, but it is not hydrolyzing angiotensin 1. Therefore, angiotensin converting enzyme 2 should function to decrease the angiotensin 2 concentration wherever it is present and active. Based on this initial characterization of ACE2, it was believed that Inhibiting the enzyme could be a therapeutic strategy for many cardiovascular diseases. However, as our knowledge of this enzyme has grown, it appears that increasing its activity and thereby local formation of hydrolyzed angiotensin II may actually be beneficial under circumstances. The AC2 is a transmembrane protein and serves as the main entry point into the cells for coronavirus, including the SARS coronavirus 2, which is causing the COVID-19. This S protein which is present on the surface, specifically the S1, binds with AC2 and that results in endocytosis that we commonly called as cell swallowing, and then translocation of both virus and enzyme into the endosome. Those are coated swallowed vesicle located within cells. It has also been shown that the disruption of S protein glycosylation significantly impairs viral entry, indicating an importance of glycan protein interaction in the process. Earlier, Professor Mukherjee sir was talking about the antibody production. The scientists who are working on the antibody production should target the S protein, specifically S1. This has led some to hypothesize that decreasing the level of ACE2 in cells might help in fighting the infection. The other possibility is that how we can decrease the ACE2 production in the cell, thereby we are preventing the entry of the SARS coronavirus 2. The interaction components of the virus present on the surface with the surface are cells, providing the clue to understand it and also guiding for drug delivery with the help of nanotechnology. So far, COVID-19 causing virus has mutated 11 times and the ancestral type is named as O type or genotype, and the fastest transmitting type, that is called as A2A type, dominated all over the world. The different studies are suggesting that the novel coronavirus more strongly than those of earlier strongly binds to intact S protein and spreads more easily than others. The binding is facilitated by S protein made up of two segments S1 and S2 produced by cleavage to expose the peptide that initiate the fusion. This is the pathway how the SARS coronavirus entering into a cell and how it is replicating and how it is coming out. And this is simple knowledge I wish to give to the viewers. Now, we are coming to our main area and what I wish to say. During the pandemic COVID-19, earlier there was a general curfew on March 21st, that followed by lockdown 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. Then they unlock 1. We are in current unlock 1 status. In the lockdown phase, what were the psychological and physiological states of human being? Physiologically, psychologically, they have passed through 5 stages. These 5 stages are proposed by Kubler-Ross. Therefore, it is called as Kubler-Ross model. Number 1 is denial. People deny that nothing will happen to them. Then anger. Why only to me the corona will happen? Then they bargain. Then undergo depression and finally expect that one day everyone will be suffer with corona. And perhaps now we are coming to the 5th stage. But physiologically, they are under stress right from the beginning, and especially when they enter into the psychological 2 stage. And the physiological stress stage, according to Siley's model, can be into 3 major stages. Here, I would like to talk about the stress situation in human population during the lockdown of COVID-19 pandemic. So first, we must understand what is stress. Stress is nothing but it is a disruption of homeostasis through physical, physiological, or both. The stimuli can be mental, physiological, anatomical, or physical reactions. In Siley's words, it is called as general adaptation syndrome, commonly referred as a gas model. This stress, we know that both negative and positive stressor that can lead to stress. Some common categories, for example, are given like pain, birth, death, marriage, divorce, money, unemployment, exams, project deadlines, conflicts, deception, drinking, insufficiency, child abuse, etc. These plenty of causes stresses are there. Plus, during Corona virus 2, that is COVID-19 stage, the stressor is a negative one. Psychologically, when we enter into denial stage, the individual refuses to believe that COVID-19 can happen to him or her, thinking of many regions like we have hot weather, therefore India will not have the much infection and this and that. In the next stage, when it is spreading all over the India or spreading to each and every part of India, the person, he or she will angry that why this corona happened, and they blame to this country or that country or many things, and spreading, and why it is reaching to her location or his location. That is the main area, main stage when the person is undergoing severe stress. This stress is in fact the alarm stage. This alarm stage, at physiological standpoint, whenever there is a stress or stressor is identified or realized, the body stress response is at the state of alarm. During this stage, in our body, there is a secretion of adrenaline, which bring about fight or flight response. There is an activation of HPA axis, hypothalamo-pituitary adrenal axis, producing cortisol. The flight or response, also called acute stress response, was first described by Walter Cannon in 1920 as a theory that animal reacts to threat when a general discharge of sympathetic nervous system is there. The hypothalamic-pituitary adrenal axis is a major part of neuroendocrine system that control reactions to stress and has important function in regulating various body processes such as digestion and the immune system disruption, and the energy usage is disrupted and all start disrupting. Therefore, whenever we have the stress, we may have the dysentery-like symptoms, and other diseases may occur due to the disruption in the immune system, and the body energy uses will be disturbed. The stage 2 is called as resistance stage. If the stressor is continuously persisting, it becomes necessary to attempt some means of coping with the stress. Although the body begins to try to adapt the strains and the demand of the environment, but the body cannot keep up indefinitely. So the resources are gradually depleted and the resistance will slowly decreases. In the final stage of gas model, all the body resources are eventually depleted and the body is unable to maintain normal function. At this point, the initial autonomic nervous system and the symptoms reappear like sweating, raised heart rate, etc. If the stage 3 is extended, long-term damage may result as the capacity of glands, especially the adrenal and the immune system, is exhausted and the function is impaired, resulting in decompensation. The result can manifest itself in obvious illness such as ulcers, depressions, cardiovascular problems, along with other mental issues. This article or section is need of attention from the expert on the subject. The body reacts to stress first by releasing catecholamines, epinephrine, norepinephrine, and then glucocorticoid hormones, the cortisol, cortisone, the tyrosine, epinephrine, norepinephrine, dopamine synthesis will increase. With the individual process all the stages, due to the exhaustion of the body internal resources, the mental condition of the individual will be different. And this stage, when the psychologically the behavior will be different, appear to be depressed, and some people even commit suicide. Probably the recent suicide by the famous film actor is at this stage. The second stage, but from the second stage, that is the resistance. If the people control themselves, then they get back to the stress relieving stage. For this, psychologically, they must accept that COVID-19 or the current situation is not only tackled by him or her, but and the entire population. Then psychologically he will reach the stage of acceptance, which is better for the mental state of a person. However, if does not accept, the mental depressed state will continue and there will be adverse physiological effects. This physiological effect can be measured through a hormone called cortisol. Our group, with the collaboration of Professor Nasdorfer of FK, conducted some of the experiments to measure and regulate the stress. The cortisol, the primarily a glucocorticoid secreted by adrenal gland in our body. The glucocorticoid having many important functions, including modulation of stress reaction, but in excess they can be damaging. Atrophy of hippocampus in human and animals is being observed when exposed to severe stress and believed to be caused by prolonged exposure to high concentration of glucocorticoids. This is simple idea that where the adrenal, everybody of you might be knowing where the adrenal gland is located. It is a paired endocrine gland located in the cephalic pole of each kidney, having two parts. That outer is called as cortex and inner is called as medulla. And the medulla is responsible for catecholamine secretion, and the cortex is responsible for the glucocorticoid secretion, which is one of the glucocorticoid secretion. Here we know that the cortex having three areas: the zona glomerulosa, fasciculata, and reticularis, and the glucocorticoids are mainly secreted by the largest zone, that is the zona fasciculata. The cortisol, a pivotal member of glucocorticoid, we know that secreted by the adrenal cortex and primarily under the control of HPA, hypothalamo-pituitary adrenal axis. The plasma concentration of this hormone is supposed to be an indicator of stress, beside the concentration of glucose. The level of both rises during stress. The release of corticotropin releasing hormone from the hypothalamus is influenced by stress, by blood levels of cortisol, and by sleep and wake cycle. In healthy individuals, it has been observed that the cortisol rises rapidly after waking, reaching a peak within 30 to 45 minutes and then gradually falls over the day. Rising again in the late afternoon, cortisol levels then fall in late evening, reaching a trough during the middle of the night. An abnormal flattening circadian cortisol cycle has been linked to chronic fatigue syndrome, so proposed by Macaulay in 1998, insomnia proposed by Backus, and burnout proposed by Kusner. Increased production of cortisol mediates alarm reaction to stress, facilitating an adaptive phase of general adaptation of syndrome in which alarm reaction including the immune response are suppressed, following the body to attempt the countermeasures. This is the normal rhythm of the cortisol. Should be that this is the cortisol rhythm in each and every individual, and this is the abnormal rhythm of cortisol. The HPA is involved in the neurobiology of mood disorder, functional illness including anxiety disorder, bipolar disorder, insomnia, post-traumatic stress disorder, borderline personality disorder, major depressive disorder, and so on. The antidepressants, which are routinely prescribed by many of the illness, serve to regulate HPA axis function. The hypothalamus-pituitary adrenal axis is a major part of neuroendocrine system, involving the interaction of the hypothalamus, the pituitary gland, and the adrenal glands. This HPA axis is believed to play a primary role in body reaction to stress by balancing hormone releasing from the adrenaline producing adrenal medulla and from the corticosteroid producing adrenal cortex. Stress can be significantly impact many of the body's immune system, as can an individual's perception of and reaction to stress. In term, psychoneuroimmunology is used to describe the interaction between the mental state, nervous and the immune system, as well as reach on the interconnection of these systems. The hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis is a major part of neuroendocrine system that control reaction to stress and important in functioning, regulating very body process, therefore the digestion, immune system and energy uses. And what we say, definitely we have to increase or enhance our immune system. Definitely we have to take care about our environment, but we have to take care about this self-physiology also. Finally, I want to give some of the concluding remarks. Stress is inevitable when our conditions are changes. There is an internal system in our body to counter the stress, but it should not be to that extent that it come to the break point. When it reaches beyond the control of internal system, psychological and physiological abnormalities will occur, including depression, energy exhaustion, lowering immunity, mental abnormalities, etc. It has been observed that, I won't emphasize here, the smoker having more ACE2 levels, receptors, thereby the smoker having more chances of infection of coronavirus 2, that is COVID-19, thereby have more infections. This is only yesterday or day before yesterday I have gone through one article. 1 or 2 days back there was also a report that the blood group is also playing important role. I think it's still a long way to go to establish the fact. But I want to share this yesterday's report or 2 days back report, that there is a report that O blood group having the chance of less infection of coronavirus 2, COVID-2, and the blood group B having more chance of infection. Still, I believe a long way to go to establish this fact. These are my some of the observations I want to share with you. Thank you for your patience hearing. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Venkat sir. It was a pleasure to hear you, to listen to you. You spoke about so many things. You spoke about SARS coronavirus and the novel coronavirus. You had also started with the casualty reports of today morning, till how long the casualty deaths have taken in India and other parts of the world. You spoke about the RNA virus, the genome sequence, the protein binding, the receptors, the functioning of endocytosis, and how SARS-CoV virus is entering the body. So I believe those who are listening, the panelists and the other joinees, those who have joined today's session, are actually benefiting by the presentation that all the speakers are giving to us. They are actually very, very important and of immense knowledge. You had spoke about O-type, A2, A-type dominant virus type that are dominant in this COVID-19 phase. You spoke about the physiological stress and how this becomes an alarming stage and how we come out from the stage 2, which is resistant, stage 3, exhaustion. And yes, you had also given a breathtaking research information that the blood group B may be more vulnerable for such kind of infection than blood group O. So I believe those who have joined today with the blood group O are going to get more relaxed than the blood group B people. So thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. It was
thank you very much. But this is only a day before yesterday. I was gone through somewhere. Okay. That's what I want to share. It is long way to go to establish that yes. I already have mentioned.
We believe that none of the blood groups in the whole world gets infected of this novel coronavirus. I said. Yes. So thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now, as we move on to the next speaker.
Thank you, Paramita.
Thank you very much, sir.